Danny Otto. Welcome into another episode of That Recap Show. Now, before we get into the episode, just wanted to issue major spoiler alert. We are going to be going over everything that happened in episodes 7 and 8 of season 2 of The Bad Batch. So if you haven't watched those episodes yet, you may want to pause this video, head over to Disney Plus, check those out, and then come back and enjoy the breakdown. Now, with that out of the way, let's start the show.
Poppin' Off presents That Recap Show.
Joining with me to break down everything from episodes 7 and 8 of season 2 of The Bad Batch, it's Jon Jon Rico.
Hey.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
What's going on? It's going good.
It's going good? Yeah, it's going great today.
Yeah.
We got a bonus episode. Not one, but two. You're the one who texted me because, and this didn't get recorded anywhere. Yesterday, I was just offhand saying, Bad Batch is the shortest of things that we recap, so I really don't have to put too much time aside to, watch a 20-something minute episode. I'll be fine. And then you text me this morning, you go, hey, guess what? They released 2.
Yeah, hey, they dropped 2. I forgot it was the mid-season.
They heard me.
Yeah.
But no, these were 2 really cool episodes. They flowed right into each other, which was perfect. And I mean, we'll get right into it. What I really felt like we're not going to separate the episodes. We're going to talk about everything from both episodes and kind of just, intermingle the 2 episodes because literally one's right into the other. But the first episode to me, before we even got the Bad Batch at all, it really felt like, do you remember the conspiracy theory movie with Will Smith and Gene Hackman?
The only ones in the country, including the military, could possibly have anything like this. Why are they after me? I don't know, and I don't want to know. Here they come.
Enemy of the State.
Enemy of the State, yeah. It reminded the first episode 7, reminded me kind of the plot of that, where there's all this secret stuff going like behind closed doors and in dark alleys, and they're trying to get like the information to like prove like a conspiracy and stuff like that. Like, instantly hit me when I'm watching episode 7. Like I just immediately started thinking of that movie. I kind of want to go back and watch that movie now. But it was a good movie. But that kind of, like where there's like a lot of sneaking around and there's multiple people kind of doing shady things at the same time. That
thriller stuff.
Yeah, exactly. A political thriller. And that's what we got. We had, a senator, we had multiple senators, I guess. And we had Admiral. We just had a lot of people kind of doing shady things, basically. And so that was the first thing that kind of popped into my head. The second was when we get to the beginning of episode 8, and we immediately are just right back into the Bad Batch being kind of the main focus. Right. I immediately, and I was telling you, I actually was chuckling to myself when I thought of this. The only thing I really wanted was like an announcer to go, meanwhile, we joined the Bad Batch and see what they've been doing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I kind of wanted that.
Yeah.
A galaxy divided by war. Peaceful worlds must choose sides or face the threat of invasion.
Right. In all the beginning of the Clone Wars episodes, pretty much had like this kind of 1940s style radio introduction that was kind of like laying the grounds for the story that you're about to see, which is really cool. So whether it was like a new story, they were just kind of giving you like the little premise of what you're about to see going into it, or it was just recapping all of the story you had just seen before. What you're describing definitely remind me of that. It'd be cool to see some of those little intros make their way back into the animation again. It seems like it's something that's only been saved for the Clone Wars show, but do another show where you bring back that guy to do some voiceovers again.
Yeah, but that's just something like I said, it just chuckled when it popped into my head, and I was thinking about that, so I just started laughing, and then I brought it up to you. But Rico, what were some of your instant reactions from these 2 episodes?
Boy, this was one of this was the story I was kind of waiting to see after these last few weeks of just kind of like the Bad Batch going off and doing their own thing on different planets and having their own fun. This is where like the series really shines the most, in my opinion. Where you have a lot of character growth within all these different little uh factions within the show. So whether it's the Empire, the Bad Batch, or even the outside help that they get, whether it's Senator Chuchi, Bail Organa, or even someone like Rex that we see later on. You're getting some kind of development from those characters, and it feeds into the story later on at some point. And but it also like serves a greater purpose within the greater Star Wars lore. Like this whole episode kind of surrounding this whole clone conspiracy of the clones that worked on Ammo Rampart's Venator, like kind of feeling this guilt over what they did and how they destroyed the Camino, the city on Camino, and basically just like, okay, we're gonna uncover the truth, and it turns into Admiral Rampart kind of like covering his tracks with the assassin clone and everything that kind of happens in between there. It's all so layered and well detailed. I had a lot of fun with that first episode that kind of laid the groundwork into everything that we saw. And then of course that second, or episode 8, kind of giving us the Bad Batch part of it, where they're just kind of sitting around waiting to do something, and then they get this important call to go back into the core worlds, because we haven't really been on Coruscant other than like the 3rd episode with Crosshairs, who we didn't see this episode, interesting enough.
Yeah.
But whenever we go back to Coruscant, it's always super interesting to me, because we're kind of dealing with like that fallout of the prequel era, the Republic going into the Empire, and especially this episode that dealing with that transition of clones to stormtroopers that really took effect in this show here, which I thought was really great. I'll get into that a little bit more later. But yeah, after the last few episodes, just kind of like doing these missions, other than the Gunji episode, where when the Bad Batch is helping a Jedi, it feels like it's serving a greater purpose. The other episode just kind of felt like there was nothing that you can do with those. They're just like global episodes. But here is like, okay, now we can see where their place in the world really is, and how important they are to the overall story. And I think this is what I want more of. More stuff like this.
Yeah, I totally agree. You want to get to some big takeaways?
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, I'm going to kick us off. And the reason why, and the reason I went so quick to this, is because this leads perfectly into one of my big takeaways. Kind of just going right off of what you were saying. I love how we are bringing more and more characters from other projects, whether they be, cartoons, whether they be live action. I love how we're bringing more characters. So we had like Senator Organa, and we had Rex, and we're bringing, and I mean the Emperor, but we're bringing these characters in, and it really makes this show, it solidifies it in universe, basically.
Yeah.
Like, and to see these other people from other stuff, like Senator Organa, we just saw in live action and recently and other stuff. Like, it's just really cool to have that give and take of characters that can kind of seamlessly move from other shows, and to just kind of solidify where this is in time.
Right.
And just helps it grow. It helps it almost like just stream from one show to another. And I really liked that, and it was really cool to see that. I have another, like, just a small tweak that I was thinking of when particular Omega, and we have Omega with the senator kind of, she's watching her, I guess, like, that's kind of what she said she was going to do.
Yeah.
But at one point, she has the worst like poker face type of thing. Like,
oh, right.
Because at one point she just goes, "Well, I was there and I'm a clone." I'm like, shut up. You're in a city that has like the Empire rule there. Like,
right.
Don't be too loud about that. Like, you tell the wrong person, and it spills all the beans about like the entire Bad Batch being alive still, and everything like that. So at that point, I was just like, shut up. Like, I get it. I get you're very emotionally.
Yeah, not real good bedside manner.
Right. I get you're really emotionally invested. You were there. You understand, like, these clones don't have the representation. You're very upset, and you're very upset about what happened and how the city was destroyed and all of this. I get it. I get that. But she needs to learn to keep her emotions in check and to not reveal her hand to the wrong people. Like, this time it didn't, have any repercussions, that at least none that we saw. But at the same time, like, damn it, Omega. Like, just keep it to yourself. But that was just a really quick, it's not even like criticism in writing or anything. It's more of like, if she was an actual person, that's what I would have said. I would have turned to her and said that. It's almost like there was this really funny like Family Guy gif that like kind of always send, and it's when somebody says something really stupid and Stewie just kind of like turns and like almost turns his head all the way upside down type of thing. Anyway, Rico, what were some of your big takeaways from these 2 episodes?
Yeah, kind of going back to some of the characters you were talking about from just other media transferring into this show. Another cool character that I thought was really cool is seeing a Masamida, which is the Emperor's kind of like big blue horn, kind of second in command. It seems like he's the one that kind of speaks for him in the first of the 2 episodes. He's always someone that you either see in like the comics that has some lines, but we never really saw him much in like kind of like live media, like whether it be animation or even like the live action stuff. He's just standing there in the background. So I love when we see like these background characters that we're so used to seeing actually get some kind of like a speaking role in some sort of way. So that was pretty cool. But that all leads kind of right into this whole the conspiracy again right now. So they provide the evidence that kind of incriminates Rampart at the council meeting, and that kind of leads to this we haven't done this in a while, just kind of this boom, this big reveal that here comes Emperor Palpatine coming up from his chambers. Of course, I always love the way that his one chamber comes up from the floor, just like, and it just reminds me of that fight in episode 3. Of course, the last time I really saw that image come up was when they were fighting. So that was really cool. And of course, the way he comes up through like the hologram of like the evidence, of course, and then just kind of turns off. Love that. Always love hearing Ian McDiarmid come back as the Emperor. Like, that is just a voice you can not help but recognize every time you hear it. Of course, I'm like, that's him. That's him. But he immediately kind of just goes like, okay, I accept this evidence, and throws Rampart completely under the bus. And of course, that's where Rampart's like, hey, I was just following orders, blah blah blah. Gets arrested, off you go. And that kind of sets up the point where the Emperor is kind of one step ahead of everybody the entire time. At this point, like, this is where the Empire is thriving at its most. This is where the Emperor is really at his most powerful. So we learn that everything that basically the Bad Batch was brought in to do, the Emperor wanted them to do. He wanted them to help incriminate Rampart so they can just basically forward this stormtrooper program even quicker than they originally would have had to, because they got the Senate vote right away. Boom. And now the Bad Batch is essentially indirectly or directly responsible for clones being phased out probably faster than they would have in general. And of course, you get that great stuff in the beginning with the Senator Chuchi talking to all the clones in that bar that they all hang out in. So it kind of paints this really dark picture, because remember when we see them in Obi-Wan later on, we see that the homeless clone that Obi-Wan walks by on that different planet. So it's clearly not going to go well for a lot of these clones going forward.
Yeah.
But man, just kind of showing how the Emperor's mind works in these different ways, not just with like as a powerful force wielder, but of course is the way he was always playing the Senate, as throughout the entire prequels. That's what he was good at. So kind of seeing that part of him shine through was also really fascinating to see, because obviously we love to hate the Empire, but like part of us also likes to see when the Empire are shown in like this really interesting light that makes them come off more formidable.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, yeah, and they even say it like the Emperor was steps ahead of us the entire time, like they played us. But yeah, I mean, I absolutely agree, and just I really liked the realization that the Bad Batch had of that, like going
the harsh life lesson for Omega, right?
Yeah.
Because she's like, we did the right thing, but it's like, yeah, but sometimes if people are so powerful that they're gonna twist the truth and just use it to their own advantage, and that's a real That's a real tough pill for her to swallow there for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, just like we've said in the past, I feel like, this is all playing into, what's shaping Omega as a person
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that. But it also goes to show, like, how, I guess, almost realistic they're kind of making these characters, where we are getting every episode, we're kind of seeing Omega, kind of learn, but like, and just like, it makes it seem more real, like lifelike. And I know we've said that in the past for our cartoon show that
It's adding more depth to her as a character.
exactly that was what I was looking for. But yeah, really just shows how powerful the Emperor is in general. That he's just like, he's playing chess while these guys are playing checkers, type of thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
But Rico, you want to get to some predictions?
Sure do.
Awesome. All right, why don't you kick us off with predictions?
Okay, so kind of feeding right off of what you were just talking of, like where they were kind of looking at the ramifications of what they'd done and kind of reflecting on that at the end. Um, Rex and the Bad Batch go their separate ways, and again, love that Rex was just kind of brought in as just kind of like this, one like the savior of the first episode who kind of helps them bring in the Bad Batch into this story arc. I just love that character, and I really want to see him in live action. I was really bummed we didn't get to see him in Obi-Wan, but yeah, but right at the end, as they're starting to part ways, Echo stops and really, like, he kind of faces Hunter, and Hunter and him, like, kind of like he kind of already knows. It seems like there's something they already knew beforehand. Like, okay, wherever you go, and like really the rest of the Bad Batch except for Omega. Omega's the only one who's really taken aback by this.
Right.
And of course, Echo's like, I got to stay here with Rex, and it all goes back to that conversation him and Hunter were having in the beginning of the season, where it's like we need to be out there fighting the bigger fight, and Hunter was like, I got to look out for this kid, basically. And it also kind of goes into last week's episode where we are talking about finding your tribe, right? Remember, Echo was originally part of Rex's crew, so that's kind of him going back and working with his old buddy, who Rex kind of let go to the Bad Batch. Is like, that's where you kind of seem what you need to be right now. And I think that's really cool. They're kind of bringing those two back together. I hope we'll get to see like whatever happens with them. I'm not sure if anything's happened with them in other media. I may be wrong, but of course, Echo leaves the door open to Omega, like, hey, I should be back. Like, look after these guys while I'm gone. So I don't think that's going to be a forever goodbye for them. Yeah, I think it just kind of plays into that whole discussion of like what everyone's bigger purpose is in the overall road. Like, they're not just clones with the program that have like a trained purpose, right? They can do whatever they want, but what's going to like satisfy them at the end of the day. So yeah, I think that's very interesting. And also, big shout out to Kevin Kiner. As we're recording, I'm listening to some music in the background. I'm listening to his scores as we listen to this. But man, talk about him he's been doing the animation music for a while since Clone Wars, and he is just like incredible. Like, if we want the day we don't know how to have John Williams to do Star Wars music, which I think he's already done, but Kevin Kiner is like the man to do Star Wars music, in my opinion. And this is just like, he did a great job with that, like, beautiful goodbye scene between Omega and Echo, and that final ending there. And I just thought that was like, man, it's always real top notch between the animation style and the music. Like, all the technical stuff that goes into the show is just beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they go hand in hand. You have to have that really powerful kind of score in there to really amp up what's happening, in the episode, whether it be action sequences, whether it be, emotional sequences, stuff like that. It's very important. Yeah. It's one of those things where you don't think about it until it's either done badly or not there, type of thing, and then you're like, something's missing. Like, you know what I mean? So yeah, it's really important. But for my prediction, it's almost like I don't really have, I don't really have a prediction exactly. But I said this a while ago where I thought maybe Fee or like another character might become like more important with the Bad Batch type of thing. At the time, I was saying it with Fee versus Sid, and maybe Fee would become like more of like the Sid kind of figure eventually. But now with the departure of Echo, I'm wondering if we're going to get someone else to kind of temporarily join the crew type of thing, like almost just to kind of round out the crew. Because now we're down technically 2 people, with Crosshairs not ever being part of the crew, but now with Echo gone, it's kind of like, we're really kind of down a person type of thing. And I know they're all perfectly capable to, control a situation with fewer people, but at the same time, I'm just wondering, dynamics wise, if we're going to get like the inclusion of like another kind of character that's going to be part of the crew moving forward type of thing to kind of bring
fill the slot.
Yeah, almost like that. Like, and I like I said, I think it's more of a temporary thing because like you said, I don't think this is the last we're going to see of Echo with the Bad Batch. I think, we're going to have a kind of unifying of the crew at some point, and they're all going to be back working together again type of thing. But I'm just wondering, like that's kind of, that popped into my head kind of towards the end when Echo was saying goodbye to Omega and stuff like that with, oh, wow, we're definitely going to be down people in this. So I'm wondering if we're going to get somebody else in to kind of fill out that. And I really don't know who it would be. Like that's the thing. I was kind of thinking, and I kind of wanted to throw it to you. If you got kind of the choice, who would you kind of think would kind of fill a good role? And I know I'm putting you on the spot. So if you don't have someone, I totally understand. But who would kind of add to the Bad Batch in a good way and wouldn't like kind of be a weird dynamic, I guess?
I don't know necessarily about who would like add to it in the best way, but I was thinking about this question at the end of the episode too. I'll say with Echo kind of going back to, like we were saying, his tribe. Now this original tribe of the Bad Batch is kind of like, these are all the original guys. Like they were all together in the first place, except for Crosshairs. Like he's the one guy that's left, and Echo kind of took his spot to begin with. So I mean, you don't know what's up with Crosshairs right now. He didn't show up in this episode, interesting enough. And you got to wonder what his place is now that Rampart's gone too, and Clone's being phased out. He's going to be on his own basically again. So that kind of opens the door for him to come back and be with his brothers and have a home, because he considered the Empire his home, and now the Empire's just literally said, like, you guys are done. Like, so that could be interesting character arc going forward. We already know there's kind of like this weird mutual respect between him and Omega, so I think they can find a way to coexist as well. Another thing is that I think we kind of learned something interesting here was that, Rex is helping out these clones who need to get off the planet and be hidden, right? Episode 3, Cody went AWOL, and then no one knows where he went. I wonder if he got in touch with Rex at some point, and they helped to get each other off world, stuff like that. But if the Bad Batch happens to run into Cody in some other mission, who knows if they end up doing a mission along with him. I doubt it would be a permanent thing, but I would love to see those particular characters interact with each other as well.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I was trying to think of who would add in. I mean, I think,
I only think of clones.
Right. Right. I think long term, I do see, Crosshair kind of coming back, and that's kind of going to be like, but I almost think that's going to be like an end, whether it's the end of the second season, whether it's the end of the series in general. Like,
I think it's a finale thing.
Yeah, it feels like a finale. Like we're getting the band back together type of thing, like fully. But I couldn't think of somebody temporary. But Cody is a good.
Who knows? Maybe Cody and Crosshairs are together right now. Like if Crosshairs got phased out, he's like, okay, I'm getting out of here. Maybe it can be hooked up. Maybe Rex got Crosshairs out of there somewhere else. Like, who knows? There's so many different ways you can actually go work Crosshair's story into this now, that especially with this new development within his employment, I guess.
Yeah. No, I'm really excited to see next week's episode. I can't wait to kind of see where we pick up with this, whether we kind of get a glimpse of, why Crosshair wasn't involved in this episode. Like, you would think if they needed a sniper, they would have gone to him, because he had kind of proven that he could take out a lot of people.
Yeah, it's very interesting that Rampart was using like this new assassin clone who was willing to die for his cause, essentially. Right. But it it very much leads into the question, like, why is he not there?
Yeah, absolutely. But I can't wait to see next week's episode. That's all I can really leave it at.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, that's what we think. Let us know in the comments below. What did you think of these 2 episodes? Did you enjoy getting a bonus episode when you woke up this morning? And where do you think Crosshair has been? And are we going to get a new addition to the Bad Batch crew before we kind of unify the entire crew and get the entire band back together? And as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to hear about all of our audio and video podcast releases. Bye, everybody!
Popping Off presents That Recap Show.